So humans have pretty much reached the tipping point for abrupt climate change, to the point where the Earth now completely warms itself. Renewable energy will not save us. Solar energy is dirty industrial technology, which really only exists to expand the lifespan of modern civilization, which ironically is the exact problem to begin with. You know, if we want a global renewable energy infrastructure, then we also need fossil fuel technology, which is created by highly polluting mining and non-renewable plastics. We either go back to riding horses, grow our own crops, attend to them with our own bare hands, don't drive, don't use gas and electric in our homes, don't take vacations, or we accept the inevitable fact that there is nothing left that we can do to avert climate catastrophe and thus start preparing for it. Why do people want to sustain this system anyway? Given that the majority of our societies have become plagued by the ideologies of narcissism and hedonism, I don't think our endgame narrative would consist of anything other than our own inevitable destruction. I mean, the reason that we're all in this situation right now is not necessarily because of where we get our energy from. I mean, that's a symptom, but it's not the cause. The root cause is our lust for progress and the must go faster attitude. What we value, how we think, our social interactions, our entertainment, our goals, you know. There are so many things that are contributing to this mess that are separate from where we get our energy from. It's no use changing the system if we haven't evolved mentally. We all know that to have any chance of stopping climate change, we need to severely decrease our global quality of life. So in simpler terms, basically, we have to go backwards. Well, if we go backwards, most people will inevitably lose their sense of purpose. And what comes after that? Boredom, depression, anger, skyrocketed. I mean, just look at the way things are right now with this virus, you know. Everything that is happening now is what needs to happen to stop climate catastrophe. But people cannot live like this. They get bored and angry. Most people are bound by the idea of progress, and in fact, their motivation to behave lawfully depends on it. People need the idea of freedom for them to be content with life. If you take that away from them while the carrot is still on the stick, then they'll revolt. I mean, all you need to do is look at France and Macron's recent green tax and look at what happened because of that. The majority of modern people just cannot slow down without there being consequences as a result. This is one of humanity's greatest downfalls. The fear of change, along with an irrational placed value on subjective man-made creations. So if we did take away people's TVs, phones, cars, trucks, shopping malls, then most people would not know what to do with themselves because that's all they've ever known. And so this is where I move on to the taboo and controversial topic of overpopulation. At this point in time, I'm pretty sure that it's too late to solve climate change, but let's just hypothetically assume that it's not, and I was required to offer a solution. I would suggest limiting reproduction rates. This is the only viable solution, and it harms absolutely nobody. If there were only 1 billion people on Earth, then people could be as ambitious as they please without causing any drastic consequences to the environment. People could live as freely as they wanted to as long as their decisions didn't revolve around creating another human being. Procreation should be a decision made by the society, and it would need peer review first, rather than the individual just deciding that they are going to have a baby on a whim. Now, I'm sure a lot of people will feel attacked or offended by me saying something like this, but let's be honest, what other choices do we have at this point in time? The undeniable truth is that if we do not limit reproduction rates, then we will reach our own demise regardless of the system that we live by. Whether you like it or not, we're all connected, and every choice that you make has a consequence to somebody else. And as a species, we've denied this fact for too long. We've been poisoned by lies such as the self-attribution fallacy and the self-responsibility fallacy. It's an inevitable fact of life that everybody has an effect on everyone else, and we can never escape that fact, ever, because that's the fundamental nature of reality. That is why I think it's fair and reasonable to limit reproduction rates. Let's be honest with ourselves, we're not going to stop using fossil fuels, and we all know this deep down. I was with Extinction Rebellion in London last year, and it was a great force for truth, but I couldn't ignore the fact that we're all contributing just by being there. We used phones and computers to organise the event. We took public transport to get there, which relies on fossil fuel production. Carbon dioxide is unfortunately a necessary component towards the progression of the human race, so the only solution is to limit reproduction rates. See, not reproducing harms nobody. In fact, it has nothing but net positives, whereas reducing consumption decreases quality of life severely. The whole world is focused on the symptoms, but not the 7 billion causes. I guess people are scared of social backlash, but I'm not, you know. The truth has always been more important to me than false hope. I know what has to be done, and somebody has to say it. I just feel obligated to suggest a solution at least, you know? It's a fair proposal, in my opinion. Like, even if limiting reproduction rates didn't fix the climate, then we'd still be limiting the amount of casualties in future, which is a good thing. We have no choice anyway. We either restrict our numbers now, peacefully, by choice, or we let nature do it for us in future. The fact is, too many people are chasing a lifestyle, and although people in impoverished countries don't contribute to the problem half as much as middle-class Westerners, the point still stands, you know. This should be for everyone. It's not just a certain class of people or a certain nationality or skin color. This is the entire human race. Now let me just clear up as well before I finish this video. This has nothing to do with eugenics, genocide, murder, or anything like that. I'm talking about limiting reproduction rates as a result of choice, not dictatorship. It simply means don't have kids to save the environment, because that's the only solution that we have. As a species, we need to find the courage and maturity to accept reality, accept what's coming, and prepare for it with dignity. It's better to choose peacefully right now with organized cooperation instead of chaos. This is the sweet period, and we're running out of time.